Good evening. Welcome to the Showboys podcast. I am Pixel Nick, and I am joined by ShowboysMedia.com, aka Mike, and Chadwick the Third. Chad, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's great.
Maybe even better if we just like ignore Mike like the whole time. Just really engages like grumpiness.
Yeah.
but it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Been better, but been worse too. Yeah.
Better when you're not getting like roasted by your co-host the whole time.
Exactly. Just, why am I even here? No. Yeah, just dealing with a fun little headache today, but nothing to
like quite literally a headache, or
yeah. I started to develop a pretty rad headache about like an hour, 2 hours ago, so that's fun.
His house has actually become infested with like gremlins, so like actual figurative headaches are like living in the ductwork, and he has to deal with them.
Yeah, basically. But no, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
Good. I'm glad.
I think we should start a new thing that whoever hosts the most popular companion series will then host the Thursday shows until the next companion series can dethrone it. So that's what's happening tonight. Nick has overtaken me in my hosting duties. Because you guys did an amazing companion series. So it's like averaged triple the views of our last biggest companion series. So congratulations, guys. Good job. Good work.
Yeah, thank you. It was a blast, man. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, wrapped it up on Monday. We did 11 episodes on the CS and covered all of the dragon content you could possibly cover. Go check it out. Playlist on our YouTube page. You can go check out all those episodes. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. That is such a good IP for a companion series, because there's just so much crap to talk about. Not that we ever have issues talking for 2 to 3 hours about anything,
right?
But
that's the funny thing about the companion series I'm doing with James on The Chosen. He's very, very much not used to podcasts like being over an hour, and our episodes are like maybe an hour 45 is probably like the longest we've had. And I'm just like, dude, this is a short Showboys episode. Like, I feel like I can go like watch a movie afterwards. Like, holy cow, man!
It's not 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it just brings up like I know this is what we're going to talk about tonight, so let's just get into it right now. It brings up this weird like podcast listening meta that is like happening, where people don't really seem to comprehend how to listen to podcasts. Like, a lot of people I talk to assume that you have to listen to it all at once. Like, it's going to disappear if you push pause or stop and like no longer exist. And I just want to say, we will be there for you. Like,
we're not
We're able to come back.
Yeah, that's really odd that people think that way. And I do have a couple of buddies at work that think that way as well. It's just like, if I listen to a podcast, it's like over the course of like 2 weeks of listening to it for 30 minutes while I mow the yard or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like there's occasional ones I'll sit down and listen to the 4-hour podcast, but it's very rare. Very rare.
I guess I could see the negative with the length of our episodes in particular. If you're breaking it down to like 20 minutes on a car drive or whatever every day, if you're not able to finish the episode by next Thursday, then all of a sudden
the new one's out. Yeah.
Oh man, now you're like 5 hours behind. And then you still haven't finished the previous episode by the following Thursday, and you're like 12 hours behind and then you're like, what's the point?
Snowball
Can't
effect.
catch up.
Yeah, but that's another aspect though, that the way I've always approached podcasts is feel free to skip some episodes.
Right.
I always just cherry picked like the topics that I care about, and then take like my time getting through them.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that they're always going to be there later when you go back to them. Like by no means I listen to Joe Rogan in order.
Right. I'm the same way. And I don't think that I've ever, up until 2 weeks ago when I found a new podcast, I never listened to every episode of any podcast that I ever listened to. Like I would find the one that interested me and then listen to it. But I found one that is a weekly podcast that does the week of Persona 5, what happens in the week on the game. And they did the whole freaking game. So it's every week, like I'll play a week in the game and then go listen to the podcast. It's freaking awesome, dude. That's literally the only one that I've ever listened, like episode to episode.
That's awesome.
That's a cool concept. I recently came across an Instagram account where it's like Today in Middle Earth, and basically every day they make several posts that say, because there's a date for every day in Middle Earth. It's just a different year, but they're like, hey, it's August 14th. On August 14th in Middle Earth, this is what went down.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because they'll do like across the whole timeline. So like if there's 4 significant events throughout Middle Earth on like September 4th, they'll give you all 4 of them. You're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's definitely really, it's literally like a companion series for Persona 5.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is it's such a massive game that like they're talking about stuff that I didn't even know existed, let alone that I could have access to it as early as. So it's really cool to go and listen and be like, see what different decisions they made and that stuff. Yeah, it's so cool.
Here's a random shout out of a fellow indie podcast that's kind of similar. Okay, first off, for some reason, sorry, this is so random, but Discord just put a notification up that our Twitch page is live. Oh, because we're streaming on Twitch and not Twitter. We'll fix that.
Good job.
But anyways, back to what I was saying. An indie podcast that I enjoy, and you've seen one of their hosts on our show before, Jared from Play Along Podcast. He's also on our Discord. Shout out. But their podcast is similar to what you're talking about, Chad. Not Persona, but they pick a game and then go through it like book club style, where they're like, all right, we're gonna play for episode 1, we're gonna play chapters 1 and 2. And so like they put the schedule out of what each episode is going to cover before they start the series, so that way anyone listening can play along with the podcast. And then they just talk about it in segments like that, and it's super cool. It's like book club for
that's exactly
playing through video games.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is like. It's really cool.
Yeah, those kinds of podcasts are really, really cool. So random shout out, Play Along Podcast, and whatever podcast Chad's talking about. You guys have awesome ideas.
Shout out. Speaking of shout outs, shout out our top tier patrons, Yusuf H, Josie, and Bim. Old Bim.
Big old Bim.
We appreciate your guys' contributions to the podcast, and you guys are great. And also all of our other patrons, you guys are awesome too. Mostly Chad's family. Hope you enjoy all the Brady episodes. I know we do. Young podcast star in training. So
I have a cool idea that I think we're gonna do maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend, but we always play a season of Madden together on the same team. I think we're gonna stream our Super Bowl. We're gonna make it to the Super Bowl. I shouldn't say we're going to. We're undefeated. We got one more game to go to the Super Bowl, so I think we're gonna make it. But
so like the game, the Super Bowl game in your season.
15-minute quarters, both of us streaming on a mic. Or just sitting together playing the game.
Do you play like co-op or like you passing the controller?
No. Yeah, it's co-op.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's got his own controller. It's really cool. We made like our own teams, our own players. I always play quarterback. He plays halfback. Nice. And he's really freaking good at it. So
that's awesome.
I was thinking you guys play like different teams in the season, and it would be really sad if one of you didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Or like Chad just curb stomps his kid in the Super Bowl. No, dude. So I know we're just staying right on track for the topic tonight, but I enjoy esports, and for a minute I was getting into like the the NBA 2K like pro league,
Yeah.
and it's legit 5 people
Yeah.
on each team playing those individual player. It's just like
Yeah, it's really cool.
so crazy. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Madden's not like that though. Like Madden, it's just 1-on-1. They don't have like,
Yeah.
7 guys lined up behind. Maybe in the esports realm they do. I don't really watch too much esports, so
They should have full 11 on 11, and people have to like play
that-
offensive line.
yeah, that would be cool. That'd be really cool.
That would be intense.
Yeah.
And that's where you just LAN party it, and everyone has to be in the same like room or house
Right.
together,
Yeah.
But you like set up the TVs
facing
in
like
the formation of like the 5
the
offensive
positions, yeah.
linemen, and all right.
this seems like broken equipment is like prone to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
TVs flipping over, controllers being thrown, injuries, actual injuries.
Right.
Anyway, since this is a What's Watching episode, Mike, do you want to give us just like the flyby and what you've been watching?
Yeah, you want to explain this new segment idea that you thought up? I think it's really cool. I think it's something we might start implementing.
Yeah, it's like one of those like shower ideas for sure. Like I'm standing there showering and I'm just thinking about like podcast content creation. So
Do that all the time.
so essentially, I think what happens here is we hit a lot of topics and we have a lot of things that we want to dial in on during episodes, but at least for me, like occasionally in Discord, I just have to post a list of like what I'm watching to people because I'm like I have not shared that like in months sometimes. So I figured, if we have a list, we can take the top of the episode and run through it in like 30 seconds or less, maybe less than a minute. I don't know. And then we can short it later. But that way we can give the quick splash of like, here's what we're watching or playing. In Chad's case,
I like this.
Persona.
Right, exactly. I like this though because if you've followed the show at all, we have like our what's watching and what's playing episodes where we do like a deep dive into exactly what Nick's talking about, where we like go in depth on each show we're watching or each game we're playing at the time. And I like this because we're giving you a list. This is what we're watching. Like, feel free to check it out if you want. But we'll still have those awesome what's watching and what's playing episodes where we really go in on each show or game. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have lists? Or
I got a watching list for sure.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want me to go or do you want to go?
Yeah,
Take it away, Mike.
All right, so I got two. I got what's watching, what's playing. I'm on the like tail end of my watching stuff. I've just wrapped up a bunch of things, getting ready to start new things. So I finished She-Hulk a couple weeks ago, House of the Dragon last 2 nights ago. Midnight Club finished today. Of course, we're talking about it tonight. I'm in progress with Andor, fully caught up there, except for the episode that released yesterday. They're Wednesdays, right?
Yes.
I was caught up to episode 7, loving it. Love that show so much. And I started The Peripheral last night on Prime, which is really interesting. What's playing? I'm streaming Control right now. Second playthrough, super fun. I've said before, I did the service to that game first time. I'm picking League of Legends back up casually. Don't judge.
Oh, no.
I'm also playing I Am Setsuna on the Switch, Ori and the Blind Forest on the Switch, and I started Temtem on the Switch, but I don't know if that's going to last. That's my what's watching. What's
like
playing.
he's just like a heroin addict, slips in like, I started doing heroin again, and I've been doing this other stuff
shot
too.
here and there.
No one be worried about me. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I have it under control.
right.
Exactly. I can stop anytime I want.
Can you? Those are some stack lists there. I know it's been a heavy like watching season this month.
Can you give us just like a 5-second what you thought of House of the Dragon, because we don't have your opinion on it whatsoever,
because you never showed up for the main series, but whatever.
I left my my season review in the channel on Discord when I finished it. And rip, I feel bad for the Lord of Driftmark there.
I just went and looked. I was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said rip. Wow.
Poor guy just gets chomped right off his dragon.
Spoilers.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. I had a little like just dumb issue of like I've talked about it before. I think you might have been on, Chad. If not, definitely with Nick. Just like the random people aging like 30 years and then like the older characters not aging a single minute. Not even like just look older makeup or something. Other than that, like I thought the story was really cool. I'm excited. The little bit I caught of the finale of the CS while I was mixing the audio, I'd have to agree with you, Chad, that maybe just like a pinch of action. Otherwise, like it's really cool. I like it. I liked it.
Cool.
Excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, me too.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Mike. You've been a busy boy.
I have been
busy. I can never like get over the like, there's the League of Legends comment, like that's expected, but I'm always caught off guard when you list like 18 Switch games, and I'm like, good lord, like.
Well, that all stems from just the library, man. So like I bought I Am Setsuna. It was on sale for like, I don't know, $9 or something. But Temtem and Ori and the Blind Forest I borrowed from the library. So I play them for 2 weeks. If I beat them, awesome. If not, I'll return them and revisit another day. Before I got Ori and the Blind Forest and Temtem, I was working my way through Octopath Traveler and loving that game. But I had it for like a month and I was like, maybe I should take it back. But yeah, the Switch is just an easy one to, because it's just like I could pick it up for 5 or 10 minutes and then
school pickup line.
Yep, put it down. It's nice.
Anywhere, all the time. Cool. Chad, you got anything for us?
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna like it because it's legitimately all Persona. So I started Persona 3 on the Steam Deck, and I agree with you as far as the Switch thing goes with the Steam Deck. It's fantastic because it's running AAA games, some better than the PS5 is running them.
Nutty.
And it's got that nice little compact take anywhere. Well, it's not really compact, it's pretty big, but it's still got the take anywhere thing, pick it up here or there. And for the games that I'm playing on it, it's kind of mandatory in my eye. Persona 5 came out 2016. I played it, couldn't get into it because it's literally a 120-hour RPG, and like sitting on a couch playing an RPG for that long is like impossible to keep my attention.
The couch.
You become the couch, yeah. But with the Steam Deck, I mean, it's way easier. So I played Persona 3. I finally was able to correct that error of missing that game. Loved it. Played a little bit of Persona 4 while I was waiting for Persona 5 to come out in the Steam Deck, and now it's all Persona 5. I'm watching or attempting to watch the Persona 5 anime alongside of the game.
Nice.
And Tokyo Ghoul as well, which I'm really, really, really liking. Cool anime. I totally missed it. Didn't even hear about it until like 2 years ago. I don't know, or 2 weeks ago. I don't know how I missed it. And then Midnight Club, which has been pretty much all I've done all week, because I hit like a brick wall and was like, yeah, probably should watch this before the episode. One of these times I'm just going to roll in like you guys did on Control and be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't finish it, but let's talk about it.
Honestly.
Let's talk about it.
What happened to Ghostwire?
Yeah, well, I as mentioned earlier, all my time has been devoted to Midnight Club this week. So yeah, I do need to get back to Ghostwire. Probably this week I'll have plenty of time to do it. Last week I had training on the days that I normally stream, and then this week it was like all Midnight Club, which I kind of regret, as we'll get to here later in the episode.
I gotta say that moment you're running through the building, I don't know if you'll remember this, but and like the walls were like shifting around or whatever, and you're like, man, this really has some Control vibes.
Yeah,
that was like you're right, it does. Now I must play Control.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm playing Control right
Oh,
now.
really? That's
So-
hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I really like Ghostwire so far. I think there's a lot left to be desired in the game as far as the combat and everything, but the ambiance that it's got going on, and
The
I
weird,
think
like,
the ghosts
tuxedo
and stuff
things.
are like horrifying looking.
Yeah.
And yeah, the
I
control
personally
elements
like
are cool.
the finger
Yeah.
guns.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very anime. Like, I think that's probably why I like it so much. Like, I told Brady, and he watched me play a little bit of it. We did a companion series on Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, this is like Jujutsu Kaisen the game, 100%.
That's awesome.
And it's got the same finger movements and stuff. Like, it's really cool. Really cool game.
I like the double like game redemption arcs you guys have going here. Like Mike's giving Control the second proper play, and you're finally getting back to Persona and giving it a proper run through.
Dude, by proper, I'm legitimately reading out loud every document I pick up, which I let it go a little too far last night, and got to a point where I spent like 20 minutes just reading the documents to the stream. But yeah, like listening to every cassette and watching every video that I come across. The story is cool, but like all of the background, like world building stuff that they have in those documents and cassettes and videos are so cool and interesting. And a lot of the side missions that I'm doing now that I just ran past to beat the game that I didn't actually beat are like really awesome. Like I fought two like mini bosses, and they were awesome.
Some of them are better. Yeah, some of them are
Dude,
better
it's
than
so
the main
cool.
bosses.
It
Yeah,
is
I'm glad
so
you're
cool.
doing it, man, because that's a crucial part of that game is reading all the stuff and watching all the videos. The world that they build is where it's at. If you just beeline it, I can see where you would be like, meh, you know, so it's okay. But once you get everything all at once, it's super cool. And I know it runs really good on the Steam Deck, so I'm really trying not to buy it again because I think I've bought it
$10 right now.
all on Steam. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've been snagging those under $10 games.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
$200 later.
Yeah.
I finally did the refrigerator mission.
Oh yeah.
Which was awesome.
So good.
Oh man, what else was I gonna say? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Oh, every time I find a Threshold Kids video, somebody pops into the stream and they're like, "What did I just come into?"
Yeah.
They're so
worst
creepy.
timing. Yeah.
They're so creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, we need to go back and edit those videos and just re-release you reading for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
as
It'd just be
videos.
the Control audiobook.
It's funny that you're doing that because prior, and I talked to Bio about this, prior to Ghostwire Tokyo, my plan was actually to stream Persona 5. And I was like, man, it's a lot of reading on stream. I was like, I don't know if it translates really, but I'm going to do it eventually because I think if I play it and you watch it, you'll want to play it. I almost guarantee it.
And I don't know if it's translating well, but I'm enjoying it because
I don't know, and I don't care.
I'm having fun. That's all I care about. Also, let me just tell you, if it's great practice for script reading. If we ever do any sort of like peeling back the curtains here live, if we ever go back to doing any sort of scripted podcast thing, it's great practice to read these things out loud while you're streaming and try not to like sound like you're reading.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think that's why I turned away from Persona 5 because I can't stand doing that, reading stuff live. You know what I mean? But it's going to have to happen at some point. I talk about Persona so much on this podcast. It's just going to have to happen.
You like Persona?
What about you, Nick?
Yeah. So what I've been watching is Handmaid's Tale. That comes out every Wednesday. I think there's 2 episodes left of that. Andor, right with that, every Wednesday, watching that. So those are my 2 active ones. Rings of Power, finished that last week or the week
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I watched that. That was great.
Don't forget about that. And finished House of the Dragon, obviously, this past Sunday. Fantastic. I have a new type, a lunch break chipper, right? So something you chip at during lunch break, and that would be Vinland Saga. I'm still chipping at that over my lunch breaks. And we paused Dahmer just because it's a lot.
I did watch the first episode of that.
Dude, it's good. I guess I should have mentioned that. I did watch The Watcher and Dahmer as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
See?
Dahmer's great.
Watching more than you think. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
And tonight's topic, the Midnight Club. No surprise there. So that's what I've been watching. I have been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I am cruising through that. I am deep into the Cell Saga. I'm in the lull between the Cell games, which is a nice lull because you get to run around as a powered up Super Saiyan, just like doing normal stuff. So such a great time.
How long is that game?
I believe it's 100 hours.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. All the way through the story. It's really drawn out just because the dialogue is so paced. Like it's kind of slow going, like moving through the dialogue prompts at times. And there's a lot of exposition in there to give you the show plus some off-screen stuff as well. So add that in with like the RPG elements. It's pretty stretched out, much like the show itself.
Yeah, I almost bought it the other day because I think it either was or still is on sale on Steam. But yeah, I should just do that because I really want to get into Dragon Ball, and I feel like that's maybe an easier way to get the full story. Is it like the whole story?
Yeah, it's the whole Dragon Ball Z, all the
really
arcs.
Cool.
It at least will get you super pumped for like the action because the combat is just mega fun.
Is it nice?
The difficulty curve on it is backwards. It's like ultra hard at the beginning and then becomes ultra easy because you get good.
You get good, yeah.
And you get super powerful though too, and you're kind of OP, but that's correct because you should be.
Right.
You lose part of the vibe there if you were always getting your stuff kicked in. So.
Yeah, but here I'm a big Souls fan, and that's how Souls games are. They're brutally difficult at the beginning, and then eventually you get good, and it gets much easier. So it's right up my alley.
For sure. Cool. Well, that was exciting and fun. I think that worked out well.
I know before we get into the topic, though, I know we've been kind of putting off the news during Spooktober because we've had like movie reviews at the start of shows and all that stuff. I don't have anything like formal, but the DCEU stuff is like popping off like crazy right now. Post Black Adam, a lot of new stuff coming out. A few quick hitters. Henry Cavill back as Superman.
Boom.
It's very exciting. Even more exciting, Walter Hamada out as the head of, the DC film stuff at Warner Bros., which is amazing because he's, in my opinion, at fault for ruining the Snyderverse and pulling the plug on that way too soon. In his shoes steps James Gunn and Peter Safran. They're going to be heading up the DC studios, like film stuff, shows, and movies. Basically, the Kevin Feige of DC will be James Gunn, which is very exciting. So yeah,
big news,
big stuff coming post Black Adam, which, according to Jordan, was a very good movie.
I feel like that dropped out of nowhere. I feel like they announced it, zero press, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, it's out, and it's good. I was very thrown off.
I didn't hear that it was good. I heard it was actually really bad, but it did come out of nowhere. No, they really need to work on their like media relations because like we should not know that this movie exists like a week before it releases. Maybe it was there and we were just ignoring it because I'd never even heard of the character before, and I don't like The Rock, so I was probably just scrolling past it on Facebook thinking it was another Rock movie. But yeah, I don't know. I have a article that I'd like to talk about briefly, and then we can get into the topic. It's not really an article. It's just
I have a headline.
Something really cool.
Nice. I didn't even know we were doing the news. Yeah. I'm excited.
Good call.
So CD Projekt Red announced that they are remaking the first Witcher game in Unreal Engine 5, which is super exciting because I have not played Witcher 1 or 2. And there was I think it was like a fan-made like teaser of what The Witcher would look like in Unreal Engine 5, and it looked freaking amazing. So super excited for that. They said it's going to be a while, so I'm sure we're looking like 2026 probably, maybe even
We're talking
later than
Eclipse
that.
timeline here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
So
they didn't even
wait.
put it. They literally said we'll share more details when we're ready, but it's going to be a while. So
are they scrapping the graphic upgrade and just remaking the game?
no, this is the remake of
Like,
the first Witcher
first
game,
Oh,
not 3.
I want to hear about the graphics update.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
I went searching for that like a month ago, and it seems like they've just been radio silent for like
Yeah,
all year on it.
I thought they said that they were still on target for a 2022 release, which is, I mean, we're pushing it. Maybe announce it at this point. That was the last I saw. There's maybe something
December
new on it.
31st.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But
Book of Boba Fett, baby.
I'm less interested in that now because the Steam Deck runs it freaking amazing. So I don't even need that really, and it's
True.
cool to play The Witcher on a handheld.
Must
But
be
yeah, they
nice.
just got a lot of crap going on for the studio
Yeah,
that they
get
are.
good.
Yeah,
Aren't they doing a Cyberpunk?
Yeah, I mean,
sequel.
yeah, that's the room. Like, I think a big DLC pack for Cyberpunk, which is probably going to be my next game after Persona. It seems like it's the right time to jump in. It looks like it's fixed up and maybe ready to play. But also like another Cyberpunk game, 2 or 3 Witcher games coming, including this remake. So they got a lot of shit
time to
going
play
on.
anything, bro.
Yeah, right.
Between Persona and then all this.
Yeah, right.
See you in
escape.
5 years when Chad finally beats all these games. All right, what you got, Nick?
Oh, mine's more of like just comedic relief. George R.R. Martin says that he's 3/4 of the way done with the next Game of Thrones book.
Oh yeah.
So, bro, he just needs to not. I was telling Chad this via text earlier this week. He probably should just like not just. He should just not do those books. Like he just needs to be done.
I think, yeah.
Unless there's some unless the book people really want just to see how he rewrites or doesn't rewrite the ending to it. I don't know, but
they do. Trust me.
My gosh.
They are vocal.
What if he doesn't change a single
That's
thing?
what I'm saying.
I think if I'm being honest with you,
and it's
I
the
think
exact same pacing. Like,
yeah,
these books are like 5 chapters long.
Yeah. I think that the thing about this is that I think it's clear that his intention was to end the books the same way the show ended, and he got backlash on the way the show ended, and now he's rewriting this book. Dude, it's been 10 years since he released the last book, I think.
Right.
So he's been writing this book for 10 years, and it's only 3/4 of the way, and it's not even the final book. There's another one after that he has to write. So there's no way that last book is coming out before this dude dies. No way.
Yeah,
Mark my words. Pin it.
It's
Put
just
a pin in that.
hilarious to me that 10 years later, it's 3/4 of the way done. Like, no, like let it be done and be like, it'll get published soon, right? Like, don't release it, but like just say it's done. No, it's just 3/4 of the way done, which isn't that much done, really. Like,
no, it's not for over a 10-year span. Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that we're never going to get the ending, his ending of the show, in quotes.
Yeah, and while I understand like the book fans, want to just see how he spins it or makes it better or whatever, but those characters in that story has entered like our cultural zeitgeist, and it's beyond like the power of any one person. Just the way like he needs to do what George did and just like let it just run away from him.
Yeah.
And he just like gives the like thumbs up, thumbs down. Like he just needs to enter George Lucas status and just like stop.
You're like, George just needs to go all George on this.
Yeah.
The other George.
He's like on his deathbed, and they're like, but George, how are these books gonna end?
Yeah.
It's like, come closer. Come closer. Just watch the show.
Yeah.
He just goes out like Viserys and he's just mumbling a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I thought I was talking to the showrunners,
Yeah.
not the book writer. I got that mixed up." He's like, "So wait, the book's ending just like the show?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn.
I love it.
But yeah, I just can't. I just can't anymore with that headline. Like, just stop, man. Just stop. Anyway, I think we are ready to kick off the finale of Spooktober
Look at that double thumbs
2022.
up. Let's go.
And I was looking, we have 13 episodes in our Spooktober playlist. So this is the 13th edition entry into the Spooktober series. Definitely one of my favorites.
Third year.
Spooktober is always fun. Third year.
Third edition of Spooktober.
It's a solid series. And I think we have a lot of fun doing it. But we're going to close this out with, because we can't have Spooktober and not talk about a Mike Flanagan series, because I think we've talked about Mike Flanagan series every single Spooktober, because somehow we've been blessed with a Mike Flanagan series every single Spooktober.
Yeah.
And I'll say it at the top. I think the quality of these series are in order of their release. So like the best ones first and the worst ones last. I think that's just kind of where I park it. But I think, but I do give him a lot of credit for doing something new every time. And like, I can see how he's like expanding the art or whatever you want to call the Flanaverse, even though it doesn't quite work as well as we all hope like the first one did. But yeah, let's dig into the Midnight Club. And I can give
Have you seen all of the Flanaverse shows?
I have.
He's a champion.
Do you want to start by revealing our ranking of the Flanaverse series?
Yeah.
Since Nick already did his.
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead and tell the people how you ranked them, Nick.
Yeah, so I ranked them. The first one is The Haunting of Hill House. And that's just like phenomenal. Then Bly Manor. Then Midnight Mass. Though I think those two can tango in the middle, because Midnight Mass was really good. And then Midnight Club here at number 4. Now I think there are a lot of other things in the Flanaverse that people are kind of lopping in there, officially or unofficially, but I think we're just strictly talking about the Netflix yearly series here.
Yeah. What about you, Chad?
Yeah, so my ranking's pretty similar to Nick's. I definitely put Hill House at the top without question. I think that's his best series, and I do agree with Nick that it does seem like he's going on a downhill. Like every show goes downhill for me personally, but I think I personally would put Midnight Mass at second. I thought Midnight Mass was really, really cool. Just a nice change coming off of Bly Manor and Hill House to something different. And I think I talked about this off air with Nick, but I thought it would have been really cool if the vampire was a demon, not a vampire, because like, I feel like a lot of people, if their pastor brought a demon in and was like, hey, it's an angel, they'd be like, oh my gosh, an angel. You know what I mean? So I thought that would have been a really cool way to spin it. It wasn't the way it went, but I really like Bly Manor a lot. So not to say anything about that. I thought that show was really, really good too. But Midnight Mass just sneaks out a little bit for me. And then, Midnight Club is, if it's on the list, is at the bottom. Yeah,
I think Hill House, obviously, number 1. Scariest.
Chad, did you say if it's on the list, it's at the bottom?
Yeah.
Just like an extra layer of like insult. Just like if it's even on the list. Like I'd rather just not even have it on the list at all.
That's rough. No. Hill House, undisputed number 1. I think the scariest of all of his shows.
Yeah.
Then I'd put Midnight Mass second, Midnight Club third, and Bly Manor fourth.
Interesting.
I think because Bly Manor was so similar to Hill House and released right after Hill House, it kind of like lost its effectiveness. I think it was still good. I think all 4 are very good series in their own right. I feel like the Midnight Club might get like the Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6 treatment of the Flanaverse because it's like kind of a step to the right of what he normally does with
Right.
these series. Yeah, I think it was just because Hill House and Bly Manor, like spooky wise, like the ghost paranormal stuff was so similar that maybe if that came after Midnight Mass, I would feel a little differently about it. But I loved Midnight Mass. I thought it was really cool. I always like a good vampire story, and the priest, the dude who played the priest, was so good in that show.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I thought Midnight Club was really good, though not really scary at all.
No.
It
had
did
its
set
jump. Yeah, it had its jump scares. That's about it.
the first episode set the Guinness World Records for the most scripted jump scares.
Dude, I
thought that was
rolling on the ground laughing. Like, that was so funny. Yeah, I appreciate the Midnight Club a lot because well, I mean, do you just want to get into it, or like did you have someone else you wanted to start with?
Well, hang on. I want to talk about the thing that I kind of miss from Hill House is all the stuff that was in the background. And that was something that I think they did in Bly Manor as well.
Yep.
And I was like looking for in Midnight Mass. I don't think Midnight Mass had anything in the background. I didn't notice anything in this show in the background, but dude, some of those scenes of Hill House, especially like the opening, like 5 minutes where they're running down the stairs, and then you find out that there's like 20 ghosts standing back there and you didn't see it originally. It was, I love that kind of crap. So I wish that would just be like his thing to do in all his series, but he seems to, maybe it's just for the haunting. So like, is that going to continue? Is he still doing the haunting stuff, or is that?
I don't know.
We have 2 hauntings and 2 midnights.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
So that means number 5 is going to be a completely different
right 2 and 2
word, you know. I that was definitely an amazing layer to Hill House. And if you did catch one of those in the background, it just like made it even more creepy and scary. Like, oh my god, I didn't even what the heck. And then of course you have like the abnormally tall guy with the hat, which I don't like things that are just abnormally tall. Like,
I don't either.
It Follows. That was the worst scene of that entire movie.
Dude, for sure.
I think, I mean, a big part of these for me is the reoccurring characters, or not reoccurring characters, reoccurring actors. And I think that's why, like, Haunting, all those actors were just so good. Those characters too, like that whole composition of the cast was just fantastic. And some of my favorite parts, like in each series going forward, is when those actors show back up and play another part. Like, I really like that. So I think also this having the least amount of returning cast members, in my mind, just docks it a little bit, because it's just, you know, like you said, he's stepping to the right. He's doing something different. And I do like a lot of the different things he does in this. And I like a lot of things that it talks about in the Midnight Club, a lot of the concepts and things. But I guess the issue that docks it when weighted against the other ones is it's so less like everything else, the other 3, because the scare factors, the haunting factors are all pretty low. And while they're teased, they're not exactly explained or matter much, at least in this season.
That's another thing about the show, is that it seemed to me that they were adding, like, the second season is coming, hinting at a second season coming. At least I can't imagine that they would end it the way they ended it without that being a plan, which kind of sucks. I think I would have maybe liked just a one-off like his other shows, right?
I think a lot of people are inferring that, but I was reading before the podcast started, because the ending of this, I was trying to like understand the ending scene, and a bunch of the sites were like, oh yeah, so it just sets up season 2, blah blah blah, and I'm like, season 2 in a Mike Flanagan show? It's not gonna
Right.
happen. So I was like looking around, and I found one with an interview from him, and he's like, yeah, we don't have any plans, we're not working on anything, but if season 2 were to happen, like it would pick up right where that left off. So I wouldn't hold your breath. I doubt there will be a season 2 coming. But it did not really have any closure. So
No, not at all. Yeah.
Very, very little closure. But I mean, it had closure on the non-haunting parts of it. So there's all
Yeah.
like the typical haunting tropes. Those did not get closure. They're really just kind of background side distractions. And then there's
Yeah.
like the different subject matter he's exploring in this show, which has a lot of closure and is really good. And I did enjoy it. It's just it's weird how it like tangles with the haunting stuff, and it's just kind of there in the peripherals and never really
Yeah.
gets its light.
Yeah. I would agree with you. That's what sticks out like a sore thumb to me is none of that stuff got closure. And that's typically when you're going into a show like this is the stuff you want closure on, not necessarily the boring stuff that where that's not happening, right? So I don't know. Yeah, that it just feels incomplete to me personally.
Though I could give the same argument as like Game of Thrones. Like sometimes like that's just how the story goes. Like you don't know why that scary lady haunts the halls.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's just, you don't get closure on everything.
Right.
And that's not what the story's about. And
Yeah,
it's just kind of like prop pieces.
right.
But the offsetting part though is usually the Mike Flanagan past 3 ones is like they focus on that stuff. They give you closure on most all of that stuff. And if there wasn't closure, it's like a purposeful open-ended loose item.
Yeah.
Or because I think like all of them had like some element where it was kind of loose in the wind, and but that was a fun loose in the wind where it's like, oh my god, like it's the same idea as like, is it all real? Like, was any of that real? That kind of effect.
Yeah.
And you just aren't supposed to know the whole spoon. Is it the spoon? I'm trying to think. In Inception. Oh, the top, the
Oh, the
spinning
top
top.
spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No closure there, and that's fine, and that works.
I'm sorry. I just have to interrupt you and ask what spoon? Like what did you think was happening with the spoon? I'm just
I
curious.
was mixing up the Matrix with the spoon.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Like okay. Random item to mistake for the top at the end
Is
of
the spoon
Inception.
bending, or are you bending?
All right, gotcha. Thanks for giving me clarity on that because that was
Yeah, closure.
yeah, you gave me closure.
what if
I
he's
should
like,
just-
anyways, moving on.
Anyways, moving on. Spoon, what?
Yeah.
And end broadcast.
So the thing that I did appreciate a lot about Midnight Club, since you guys asked, is that it actually like at the heart of it's kind of like a tender story,
Mhm.
like very very touching. And I loved the concept of we like anthology series here, right? And each episode was almost like
Yeah.
it was like an anthology within an anthology, which was like kind of meta. But like the fact that like each episode you have like the main like plot line playing out, but then like half of the episode is also dedicated to one person's story they're telling,
Mhm.
which is just a dramatization of like their actual life events. I just thought like that whole concept was super cool, and I liked most, if not all, of the stories that were told at the Midnight Club. They were really cool, and probably could have just been like individual episodes if you were to like take the Midnight Club and make it an actual anthology. Just have like each episode be one of the stories they tell instead of like the underlying like main plot that goes throughout the entire season. But yeah, I like Nick said, we had a few people returning that we've seen in other series. I was very happy to see Henry Thomas back, who is like the dad from the first Hill House and things like that.
Except he has big Hopper vibes in this. He just reminded me of Hopper from Stranger Things the whole time.
Oh no, Henry played
he was the rock band
hitchhiker dude.
Oh, okay.
He was only in that one episode. Yeah.
That was cool.
That was a cool
story.
He was in E.T.?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Literally, my mind is blown right now.
Okay, wait a second. There's no way you didn't know that.
I did not know that. I'm being dead serious.
Are you kidding me, bro?
I am being
he's the kid.
Right now.
He's the kid from E.T.
No way,
dude! I can't tell if you're. I could never tell if you're being serious.
I know. No, I am being dead serious right now. I was about to say like I literally have the driest sarcasm, so it's impossible to tell if I'm being serious or not.
Yeah,
but I'm actually being serious. I had no idea. My mind is blown.
Bro, that's hilarious that you didn't know that. I mean, it's not jarring because the last time you saw him in ET, he was like 8 years old, and now he's like 51 in these shows. So.
Yeah. No, he plays Freedom Jack in the episode where I forget what her name is, but she picks up the hitchhikers.
Yeah, I really liked a lot of the stories. I thought some of them were kind of lame, but that was probably one of my favorite ones. I thought it was, I don't want to say touching. It was a little moving that all of this was happening while she was in her garage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the only one that I ended up hating that I loved in the beginning was Kevin's story that he was telling through multiple
the serial
episodes.
Killer one?
Dude, started out so cool. And the ending is just, and even the characters in the show don't like the ending that he does. And I hated the ending. I'm like, dude, that was awful.
Which, what was it? The main character, Olanka, was it her story that like everyone like chimed in with the ending?
With the ending at the end,
Dude, that one, for some reason, that got me. I was just like sitting there, I was like, don't cry, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't just type in the spreadsheet, Mike. Don't cry. But I loved seeing Zach Gilford's character, who was in Midnight Mass, the main character there in Midnight Club. He was the nurse. He just made me happy every time he was on screen.
He's just good.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, his demeanor is like so chill.
He's great. The only thing that annoyed me about him is he's like a nurse at a hospice, right, in the show, and he's got like $2,000 Jordans on. Like, bro, you're not affording those Jordans with your hospice nurse pay. I assure you.
You never know. I mean,
so those are like the weird things that make me upset. Like, just nobody probably even paid attention to the shoes he had on his feet, but me.
By the way, Kevin, played by Igby Rigney.
Yeah.
What a name. He was in Midnight Mass. He was Warren Flynn, so he was
he wasn't
the nurse's little brother.
Yeah.
Also, wow, I'm gonna screw this name up. Anara Simone, who plays Sandra in Midnight Club, was in Midnight Mass. She was the girl in the wheelchair, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were in the other series too. Of course, you got Samantha Sloyan, who is the hippie tea maker, cultist leader.
She's I want to talk about her for a second, because she's a great actress, because she's totally different in this than she is in Midnight Mass.
Different.
Yeah. So different, and her range is this might be the only two things I've ever seen her in, so it's just cool to see what kind of range she has. Like,
oh yeah, she was
so good.
She was crazy in Midnight Mass.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And then Rahul Kohli, who was he was the game dev and future Amesh in Midnight Club. He was the sheriff in Midnight Mass, and then he was the cook in
Right.
Blind Manor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see all of them return and make an appearance. I'm scrolling through to see if anyone else. But yeah, like what was your favorite story that was told at the Midnight Club, Nick?
That one, that's tough because I like them all for different reasons, but definitely I wish I would have came prepared to like stack rank them, but I don't think that's necessary. I obviously the hitchhiker one toward the end of the show is really cool, where she's just like in her garage picking up the hitchhikers, kind of on a loop there. That was really cool, and I like when they do that and tie it to what like kind of you can infer really happened to them in real life.
Yeah.
That one was cool. And one of the earlier ones,
that one actually like got me with I was really thinking Freedom was trying to save her, and the
right.
chick was trying to get her, I took the engine of the car as like her life, right? And she kept
Mhm.
getting ready to like turn it off. She's like, no, go
Yeah.
ahead, turn it off. Like,
Yeah.
let's just get out.
It's the opposite.
I'm like,
Turn it
oh,
off.
she's trying to get her to kill herself.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. No, that one was really good. But also like it didn't there really wasn't any bad actors in there. Like it's just kind of like the two sides of your conscience, if you will, or the two angels on your shoulder, kind of coaxing her. And I thought that was really cool. And obviously the use of the actors there, in there, because he's just awesome.
Mhm.
But the other one that I really liked was actually the least haunting one, and it was the time travel one, where actually
Is
there was
that
two time travel ones.
is that
Sorry,
a mesh?
a
The
mesh.
the game dev
The
one?
game dev one. I thought that one was really cool. Actually, yeah, both the time travel ones were cool. But that one was neat, especially because that at that point, that's when I was like, okay, this show is really purposely stepping out of like the quote unquote haunting type stuff, and that's not
Yeah.
its intention. Like he's telling much different stories around these otherwise terminal characters, and how that kind of ties back to their, the way they want to dramatize or perceive or actually flare up like their real life story. So I thought that one was really good. um, and that's the thing. Like, I think all those little sub stories were really good, and they did their own. I like how you kind of said it's like the meta anthology within an anthology, but they were at times too long. And I think that was like a pain point for me, especially my wife watching the show, because basically once they got like 10 minutes into one of those, and some of them were like 30 minutes, 40 minutes long, it felt like you're just completely pulled away from what you think is the show is about, is like the hospice and like the haunting and the characters in the basement. It's really like almost not at all about that. It's about
Right.
these kids, their terminal, their stories, and like their relationship with each other. That's all this show's about. It has
Mhm.
nothing to do with like what they try to trick you with. That's what is typically the plot of the show.
Yeah.
My favorite story actually is Sandra's, the like murder mystery, like black and white.
Mm,
I just like the flair on that. Like they go with the old timey like voices and accents and like
Mhm.
the structure of the dialogue, they like nailed it. It's just like
yeah,
so dramatic, but like dry.
yeah, it's perfect. Like I like that one simply for like capturing the essence of that genre, right? The story itself isn't like super enthralling, but just like the
Period piece within an anthology
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, exactly. You checked all the boxes.
Good job.
Yeah, and I would agree with Chad. Kevin started out super cool, but then kind of like just kind of fell on his face at the end. I would say Alanka's was my least favorite, the witch one. I just
I didn't like the witch.
wasn't
Mhm, yeah.
feeling that.
Yeah, it wasn't either. My favorite probably out of all of them, it's close between the car one and the girl in the wheelchair, her story with the two different
Oh,
two Danas or
yeah,
whatever it was
Anya.
called.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just really liked that one for whatever reason. Um, just a cool concept that they had going on there. But I also, even though I didn't like his character in the show, um, the one, the futuristic one with the
Mhm.
robot, like where it's like Terminator, essentially. I don't know. I just
Spencer.
love Terminator. Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah.
Um, he annoyed me through majority of the show. I don't know what it was. Just I don't know what it was exactly, but his story I thought was super cool. Like I don't know why. It's just it just felt like Terminator. You know what I mean? This is a cool concept, and it was
Yeah.
cool the way that they kind of set it up because
Mhm.
it's like a future timeline thing going on where he's recording stuff on his VCR that happens the next day, and it starts out innocent, like getting sports scores and betting on the scores. But he eventually records that his boyfriend that went and visited his mother gets murdered, so he goes to save him. But in the house, they say in the radio thing like that's like an unknown weapon. They don't know what caused all this, but it's like a futuristic like poison. But you notice that he's in the house with his mother or with his boyfriend and his mother, and they both die and he doesn't. And I was like, but he's sitting there breathing it in. So like, what is causing that exactly? And it turns out that he's
Yeah.
actually a robot later on.
Yep.
And I thought that was so
Yeah.
cool, dude.
They set it up really well.
I thought they did, yeah.
Like even that's the thing. Like even if the trope or what they're going for is like kind of busted and like corny,
Yeah.
the setup is always really good. You're like, okay, that's points there. But speaking of like character like who annoys you the most, honestly, Alanka was
Oh,
probably
dude.
like she
Yeah.
annoyed the crap out of me
Me
because
too,
like
bro.
especially the second half of the series, I was like, you're kind of like the bad person here. Like you're kind of like the antagonist of the whole group.
Yeah.
You're not the protagonist because like
Right.
you're just like messing up left and right for no reason.
Yeah.
But that's how her character's built though. But she's definitely like a menace in the halls.
Yeah, yeah, she is. Yeah, she rubbed me the wrong way in the same way that the girl from Fear Street, the main character, she rubs me the wrong way. She's just like loud, obnoxious, and uh, annoying in most scenes. But the
A
one that
woman.
was like
No,
the
just kidding.
most,
Yeah.
the one,
I'm just kidding.
the one that was the most annoying was when she was like yelling at Kevin's girlfriend. I was
Yeah.
like, what? Like, I get there's feelings going on there, and that's why this is happening. But like, what are you doing? Like, and he even gets pissed about it, which I
Yeah.
appreciated.
No.
Just like slow your roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Alanka and Spencer probably were my least favorite characters. Spencer towards like the end, and by towards the end I mean like the last episode when he stopped like being all mega angsty. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. Like they're all dying, they all are angsty. That makes sense. But like it was just over the top. My favorite character though is probably Sherry. Like right there below Nick in the corner
Oh
with
yeah.
the amazing facial expression.
Yeah.
No one knows like if
I-
she's lying or not.
Yeah,
That's
I love it.
fantastic.
I love it. But she like ended up being like a really sweet character and like a really good friend to all the people there. Which I liked. I liked a
Yeah,
lot.
she's a really
Appreciate
good
that.
character. Sleeper character too, because she's not really pivotal to like much of the story, but as a supporting character,
Yeah.
and the moment she has, they're really good. And I just like the fact that no one can tell if she's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
He has like these movie star parents apparently that has some truth to it because like the whole wig thing was cool.
Yeah.
And she does get like those gifts sent. So it's like, what is true and what is not true about you? But it doesn't
Yeah.
matter because that has nothing to do with like the story, I guess.
It's amazing though, because like she to me starts to come around and like be honest until like the last family day and she's with Spencer and she's like, oh yeah, I'm his fiance. We're engaged. I was like, there she is. She's back.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, that's many levels of like, I'm just fucking with people.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So, like, what did you guys think about the non-storied story, like the main actual story that is happening throughout the series, not just these stories we're told at the Midnight Club, like of the healing through
Yeah.
this cult thing, and
Yeah.
then the random two old people ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, I like what they were going for. I think the execution was kind of shitty, and I think it might feel a little disjointed to me personally because of the stories, because I was just personally more interested in what they were going to tell at the table than anything else going on. And that's weird for me because I really dig the cult kind of stuff, and I don't know, it just did it feel disjointed to you guys?
I was more interested in like the not stories at first, and they grew on me over time because I was trying to like have them progress because I was misled in terms of like what this was going to be
Yeah, me
versus what it
too.
turned out to be.
Right.
But it's interesting that you were more interested in the stories at the table because I was like, oh, here goes another like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That matters, but it really doesn't to that larger story Mike's talking about. I agree. Yeah, the execution was really disjointed, and it made it hard to follow like what is happening, if anything at all. But there is
Yeah.
a story there, though.
Right.
I do like that. We get no closure on it, but I guess it's fun to speculate that the way I surmise in my mind what those two women, right, the one that made it out and basically lives in the woods, those cultists versus the reveal at the end. I think that was good because otherwise the main doctor, she's like so hypnotic, like you can't read her at all.
Right.
And it's like, do you like I'm with Alanka, like don't trust her either, but also don't like just trust the lady in the woods.
That's giving you bile tea.
Right.
Bile tea. Don't drink that. So yeah, the way I, if we want to go into that, like the way I compartmentalized the end of my brain was, all right, girl that made it out, lives in the woods. She's just sacrificing people to like heal herself. Like I believe that's true. Like she's definitely a bad actor of some sort because she's just killing her cultist people to make her live longer or at all. But I mean, I think what's her face, like the main doctor of the hospice, she like feeds off of like these dying people somehow. And it does a similar practice just in a much more
controlled
facaded
facaded
method. So I think they're doing basically the same thing, just two different routes.
That's interesting because the ending scene there before it focuses on the doctor. Let me find her name so I can.
I think
Dr.
she's the
Stanton.
paragon.
Dr. Stanton. As it scrolls across, you get the newspaper. I actually paused to read it, see if there's anything there. There wasn't really, but
it's very control of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Pause the show, read the paper.
Yeah. But those people on that newspaper clipping are the people who built or bought the estate. I think they built it, I want to say. And those two are the two ghosts that Kevin and Alanka are seeing, right? The old lady and the old man. How that ties in to everything, I don't know. But they, at least the lady was, the old lady ghost was saying that she was hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned something about Dr. Stanton like feeding on these kids or the death that's in the hospice to prolong her life, because as you see, she is wearing a wig and she's bald, so she probably has cancer too, I would imagine. And then of course the Paragon tattoo on the back of her neck, which is she part of the original Paragon? I think there's theories floating around that she is like Athena or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
I didn't
that
think about
doesn't
that.
that doesn't
Definitely the
really
original
like
Paragon.
line up age-wise with that Athena character. She would be much older in 1994 than Stanton was, unless they just.
Or is that what Nick's saying, that she's feeding off of these people to stay alive because she does have cancer? I mean, I thought
Yeah.
they were clearly hinting at that at the end. So is she staying alive because of what's going on in the house? I don't know. There's just
Yeah.
not enough fucking closure, man. Like, I
Yeah.
needed a little bit more,
But
maybe one more scene.
I kind of like it though, because the whole series they're kind of downplaying the occult and the supernatural like
Mhm.
throughout the whole thing, which I actually like. Like they're like they don't give you an answer on whether that like ceremony or whatever, I forget what's called.
Yeah. Blood
If
sacrifice.
that actually worked, or do they give you the misdirect with Sandra and it being like a misdiagnosis? So was like the Shasta, which is the lady in the woods, her name was Shasta, just like misdiagnosed originally,
Yeah.
and that's why she was healed when she came back? Or is it this supernatural, paranatural stuff that's happening with the ley lines and the hospice and the cult ceremonies and stuff? And then, like you just brought up with Stanton feeding on the death that's happening there, is that like stopping her aging and stuff? So maybe she really is that Athena character. I don't know. I like it. I like how they're like I just enjoy things that are open to speculation, that fosters conversations like this, because it gets people talking about it, and I don't know, it kind of makes you think a little bit.
What if somehow the woman spirit that's haunting is like some sort of manifestation, or paranormal body for her to inhabit,
Yeah.
and the guy is the dude that changes the bed sheets, because we get nothing more about him, but he kind of
Yeah.
lines up with like the creepy dude in the mirror, who kind of like gives me the vibe of like a caretaker, or like a maintenance person that just kind of tends to the facility.
Yeah.
I loved that character, by the way.
Yeah, he
So
had good
good.
dialogue.
Yeah, and it goes on to play on the whole like how okay they are with just accepting death. Like I get like these are terminal patients, right? And so like, and it's a hospice, but I found like that kind of made me uncomfortable throughout the season or the series or whatever. Just how Dr. Stanton's just like, just accept, don't fight, just let it happen. And it's just like, these are kids. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're in a hospice and their outlook doesn't look good, but these are kids. Like, you shouldn't just be telling them to just die. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
Which is
And
basically what she's saying.
Yeah, and that kind of goes in your line of thinking, that she's doing the same thing as the other one, just in a more controlled fashion, right? She's the one that's curating all these deaths and trying to make it as painless as possible for these kids. But I thought for the longest time that for sure that the woman ghost was going to have some tie to that doctor, whether it was the doctor was like the daytime ghost and that thing was the nighttime ghost, or what was going on. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I do like that, Nick. I also love that actor. He was in I think he was in Midnight Mass. I couldn't find him in the credits, like the quick like just scrolling credits on IMDb. I'd have to like look through the whole list. I think he was like the town drunk dude in Midnight Mass who accidentally shot the girl who was in the wheelchair in that series.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, was that him? And then was he also the like?
I knew you were there, but I did not expect you
to pop around the corner.
Right around the corner.
I didn't see her come down the stairs. Is the weird thing.
I thought you guys had someone new on your podcast over there.
Who?
Talking?
Her?
Yeah. I was like, oh,
Bye, I love you. Oh, that's a great jump scare.
I thought for sure she was gonna jump scare you because you had no react. You usually react to the light switch. It's
I didn't even
usually an
see the
instant.
light turn on.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, dude, this is prime.
Yeah, no,
he's gonna get the
I
shit scared out
saw
of him.
her like come through the little
Yeah.
opening there, and so I
Oh,
was
I
like, all right,
did.
I'm
That's
gonna
the
get
other
this.
thing.
And I turned around. I didn't expect her to just be like,
Yeah.
even though I knew she was gonna be.
I didn't see her come down the stairs, so I just thought she
Oh.
came out of the darkness. Like, it was weird.
Yeah,
Speaking of haunting,
yeah, no kidding. Anyways, there's your weekly distraction.
yeah. So I guess the more we talk about it, the better the show gets. Because Mike's point about it being open ended, it has its flair to it for sure. I like that there were actually stairs to get down there, if that was true. Because I was bothered at the fact that this basement was just a one-way elevator.
Right.
And
That
then
would
the fact
not
that if it,
pass code, bro.
Yeah.
dude, yeah, I was like, come on, like this is creepy. But there's the whole bit about like when Alanka found what her boyfriend basically, what's his name?
Kevin.
Kevin in the basement, but like she thought it was the lady, right? And then he was just talking all weird, like he just wakes up down there in that bed. But like meanwhile, the main doctor, she has like a secret staircase to get down there. So I don't know if there's something to speculate on there. Like, is she just like feeding like the whole sleepwalking thing and
Yeah. I don't know.
so much weird. There's a lot of to like make up in our own minds about what's
Right.
going on at this place.
Right. Yeah. It almost seems like those things maybe don't even exist. Like it's just the kids seeing this stuff when they're hopped up on their meds or whatever, and he's just a sleepwalker. Like it could be as easy as that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Well,
I don't know. I
that's
got
great,
really,
too, because that kind of like goes on to the point of them like downplaying all the supernatural, paranatural stuff. So like, I don't know if it's actually intended to be that, but in my mind, I'm gonna go with that because that makes it cool. The
Yeah.
fact that we got no explanation of
Right.
the old man and and
Right.
old lady ghosts and why only those two people could see them.
right.
And they were on the track to like they were building them up until like episode 8, and then all of a sudden like 9 and 10 just like
Nothing.
just threw them out. So
Yeah.
I was like, dang. But like
Yeah.
they were slow, and that's like what kept me excited about like the non-story parks. I'm like, all right, we're gonna move like after the club or before the club, we're gonna move forward this main story, which is not at all real.
Yeah.
And then they build up to where, she has basically, I think the peak is when Alanka like runs into them in her room after the death of Anya, and all that, which is really cool, and scary. But what it means, we will never know, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, also like the shadow thing.
That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was cool, but like
No,
another
that's-
one of those things
yeah.
that just like
I think that
didn't
was
go any further.
I think that we can just write off as like literally
Death.
them being close to death.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of happens when you are close to death.
Because mentions that.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, kind of. There's just a blind spot over here, and it's just like a shadows. And so, yeah, I like the more we talk about all the open-ended, spooky stuff that we got. I love how it's just like probably not real, guys. We're talking about
Right.
these people who are dying and probably on a bunch of crazy medication.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, it's
Believe what you want.
definitely it's definitely a cool angle to take on this. When we sit down and talk, like before I sat down here, I was like, dude, this show's atrocious. Like, there's nothing going on here. But now that we're sitting down and talking about it, I'm maybe appreciating it a little bit more. But it's a cool angle to take on it because normally you get explanations on that stuff. Normally it is real. Normally it is yada yada yada. But the fact that it might just be something they're seeing and not actually real, like these kids that are dying. But I want to. I love Amesh so much. Like his character's great in this. He's a big gamer. There's a lot of 90s gamer stuff in here as well.
Yeah.
He gets a original PlayStation,
Yeah.
which I thought was really, really cool. He was bummed that he got thrown into hospice before it came out, so he'd never be able to play it. So yeah, love that character.
Yeah, and maybe that's like the expectation that was switched. Like normally these, spooky thrillers, horror, they take these situations and the focus is always on the paranormal and the haunting. And in this case, like they take the time to actually explore the real life situation of a bunch of kids in hospice dying, and that's what it focuses on. And all the paranormal stuff is kind of just the background noise.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like the true horror of this show is like
Right.
terminal illness
Yeah.
and that it can happen to even kids.
Mhm.
and weird cultists are out there taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
In what I assume is the Pacific Northwest.
Of
Yeah,
course,
that's what it
everything
looks
weird
like.
happens out there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, well, it happens a few times in different ways, but I love the like kind of meta commentary on how, you know, terminally ill people are treated by the rest of us. I love the way that Anya like blows up on Alanka for doing the whole like AIDS like shock
Mhm.
thing. Like that's so true. And it's so annoying that one certain diseases or issues, illnesses are like prioritized over others in our
Yeah.
shock factor and like we fake pretend it's like bad. But
Mhm.
then also the whole poor Kevin goes to prom and he gets the same conversation 400 times of like, oh blah blah blah, brave, da da da. Like I've always felt that way about these conversations. Like I never try to have those conversations with those sorts of people. Like
Right.
I just
Yeah.
want to ask them normal, like talk to them like they're anybody else. And
Like
that's
they're
always
normal?
what I want.
Yeah.
No, I was kidding.
But instead, yeah, I really love the like commentary on like, oh yeah, all of a sudden you're not a person anymore. You're gonna get
Yeah.
like a specialized treatment when really
Yeah.
they probably just want to be treated semi-normal. But I
Right.
don't know.
Exactly.
Right.
And I thought that was one of the more touching moments to me was the conversation between Spencer and the nurse. Like
Mm.
when Spencer gets cut and he's
Yeah.
like, dude, like I'm not gonna get AIDS from you. Like
Right.
I'm
It's not
wearing
airborne.
gloves to protect me, like or to protect you from me and
Right.
like all this stuff. And the whole like fear part of his story was really interesting. And yeah, like the commentary they do for terminally ill and things like that is just really, really good. Though at points it just gets a little angsty. Like and you
Yeah.
know, that's like my big pet peeve, but also I get it because it's like I would
They're
imagine
teens.
that I would be pretty angsty if I was
Right.
one treated like that and two had a diagnosis like that. So
Yeah.
I get it.
And just
Yeah,
same way with like their therapy sessions and those meetings, because like at the start, like you're kind of pegging everybody for like the typical like he hates religion, she's super religious, and the way that layers, especially that those two dynamics layers over everyone's like personal situations, whereas like what's his face's mom like literally does not come or speak to him or anything because of her religion. So he holds an angst against the Jesus girl always
Right.
trying to pamp that around.
Mhm.
Oh, so groundbreaking to have that in any sort of pop culture. Never seen
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah. But it's really cool when they did the whole finally like there's an angel moment in the story that worked and she wasn't there for it because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I did, man. The show was like had such like funny little moments like that. I love it, and just like that part, and then when the other people around the table would interrupt a story, and it would like happen in the story while they're telling it, like during
Yeah.
Spencer's story with the football team names. Like,
Yeah, it was so good.
I
Yeah.
was crying. It was so
Yeah,
funny.
so good.
He's like the Orcas and the
The Orc-
99ers or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
totally
And,
me.
What did he say when the hooded guy appeared and he's like, that's the NFL commissioner. And he's
Yeah.
just about to be violently angry at the dumb fake team names you gave those teams or whatever.
Yeah, the show had a couple laugh out loud moments, and then for me personally, like multiple times, almost crying. One very damn close, which was, even though I hated her, the main character, what's her name?
Alanka.
Alanka. Reading that poem to her dad at the end, it was like, dude,
Brutal.
can't do it.
Can't do it.
Yeah, any scene with her and her dad, or technically foster dad, but didn't seem to be that way in the show. Was brutal. I mean, I've said this ever since I had kids. Like, not that I could watch, like, I enjoyed watching anything misfortunate happen to children in movies or shows before I had kids, but after being a father, it's just like, it's so hard to
Way
watch
worse.
because you just put yourself in those shoes. So this series was very hard for me to watch because it's all kids,
Right,
who are about to die, and it's just like the scenes with Alanka, and I think her dad's name's Tim. He's the Hopper vibes, right? Yeah. That's what I definitely picked that up.
Big hops.
They were so hard to watch, and that part, dude, was brutal. Like,
go ahead. Sorry, I
was just gonna say that one, and the finishing of Alanka's story at the club meeting that time. It was just like literally, it's getting real watery up here around this area. I was like, still do it. I know no one's down here, no one will see, but just
that, you know, when we did our Christopher Nolan thing, I talked about how I cry at the end of Interstellar almost every single time I watch it, and that's primarily, I don't think that reaction would happen if I didn't have kids and wouldn't like imagine Brady coming back at like 80 years, or me coming back and Brady's like in his deathbed at 80 years old and I'm still 30. Like, it's just gets me right in the gut every time. So I feel what you're saying there with the kids.
Dag. So Mike enjoys it. No, he said he doesn't.
But it was hard to watch, but like what they said was very good. And I think that's why this isn't number 4 for me, even though the horror element basically doesn't exist. Like, I think the story that was told and the things that were said were done really well, and in a very interesting, albeit disjointed, like, way. It's a good story, and the horror lies in the place that you don't expect it to be, and that's the illness factor and just the fate of these kids. Which is just brutal.
I guess I should probably clarify why this is at number 4 for me. I think it's primarily my issues is why it's at number 4. Like, I was expecting a Flanagan show, and this didn't feel like a Flanagan show to me.
He's
so it's
redefined
probably
Flanagan show for you.
Yeah. And it also, I don't know that I would even put this as horror at all. Like, it's on the docket as like a horror mystery. I think it's more of a
like
thriller,
suspense,
right?
kind of thriller.
Yeah. So if you go into it with those goggles on versus a Hill House / Bly Manor / Midnight Mass goggles, you might enjoy it a little bit more.
Now, we say that, but it takes sitting down and talking about it for an hour and digesting it with like 3 people to like see all of these like awesome things about it. Whereas like in practicality, watching this show, it's so disjointed, and you are either going in there with the wrong expectations, or it's so spread out through like these different like anthology dips into these different stories that I don't think the average person is like appreciating everything that's in it. And wholesale, that's not how the best one, Hill House, plays out. Like, Hill House grabs you from the beginning to the end. You miss most of it because you only have the attention span to focus on the main family story, let alone all the other crap that's sprinkled into that show. So I think that's like from the general like audience, and like just like watching it, you're like, okay, I don't really know what I watched, and the thing I thought I wanted to get closure on didn't happen. But all these like 100 awesome isolated moments were fantastic. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of like what we're talking about. So we keep talking about like a ton of just completely separate moments that you have to like put all together,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's good. Opposed to like saying, "Oh no, this show is about this story arc of Alanka entering this hospice, being haunted, solving the haunting, overthrowing the evil
Right.
doctor lady."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it all just is very different of a show.
Right.
Yeah, and I think Chad's comment of it not being what he expected just confirms and cements my comparison to like Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good analogy for sure.
Because, yeah, Resident Evil 5 and especially 6 just got dumpstered for breaking away from the mold, right? Of Resident Evil. But I love 5 and 6 when approached as like an action game and not a survival horror game is pretty fun and pretty cool. Which I think is kind of what you have to do with this show. To be honest, I wasn't exactly sure of what to expect because of the like story nature of like we had talked about this show when it was announced and whatnot on the newscast. So having like a general idea of like there's just going to be like these stories that are told, I was like, how is this going to work exactly? So I like kind of went into it with like an expectation of this is probably going to be weird because I don't know how they're going to do that. But even with like not really many expectations, I was still kind of like, man, this is not, there's not really any like horror that you would expect from Flanagan in this show.
Right.
And he just kind of seems to, through the stories, like poke fun at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that first episode
like.
with the jump scares, like,
dude.
That is the funniest thing that I've seen in so long. And was that Sherry? Was that Sherry's story?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like,
because they're ragging on her
perfect.
for like how many jump scares there were.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like at one point, it's just like every way the character turns, the girl is like jump scaring in his face, and then she even like looks at the camera and like screams at the camera. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I want to talk about one more moment that I thought was really great. And that was the moment when Anya is her name, the girl in the wheelchair. When she's like dying or recovering from the failed ritual, that's the word I was looking for earlier instead of saying ceremony. From the ritual, where she's like living out this story of like working at the grocery store and
so good,
like is a recovered patient, you know, like the ritual worked or whatever.
Everyone's dead. I was like, what? I was like, this is too soon though to kill it, to end it.
But like then as her story starts to break down in her mind, where like that jump scare ghost shows up, and then like, you know, Amesh and Natsuki is the girl. They're in the video game store and they're like, we have no idea who you are. And like that moment was so like the way they did that whole sequence was super good. And also just like heart-wrenching when it's like breaking out and you're now realizing it's the kids telling her a story, and then how they like end the story. I'm just like, no, don't cry, don't do it. So good. Because originally like I really disliked Anya, and
so did I.
Even towards the end I still disliked her, but like just that that portion of that episode, because it's like half, maybe almost the entire episode.
Yeah, it might be the whole episode.
Was very touching, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just an amazing display of the bond that they formed. and how much they actually like cared for their friend. And as someone who at one time worked in a nursing home, it's not exactly a hospice, but and opposite end of the spectrum, dealing with the elderly and not, young kids, that those relationships are the same, though. They form with the residents. And having worked there for, a year plus, I saw my fair share of residents pass. And like it affects the other residents because they're losing a friend.
Right.
And much like you see in this show with the lack of family support and visitors, like that's real.
Mhm.
The thing that was so hard working at the nursing home was like in a lot of cases, like I and the other staff were these people's
Their
family.
Yeah.
Like people didn't come visit them. Like their interactions with people that cared about them were like me wheeling them from their room down to therapy or like back up to lunch or like, things like that. And it's so sad. So like to me personally, like that having that layer like underneath in my subconscious while watching this show made it like pretty relatable and understandable because like that's very accurate.
Yeah.
And it's that I think that's what made the Anya stuff like so powerful to me, at least.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I would agree with you with the family stuff, especially Spencer's mom coming at the end. I thought was super touching after he goes and like bitches her out, basically. I thought that was super cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good moments in the show. It's
not
like I said,
how you would describe a Mike Flanagan show.
Right,
Usually it's
right.
not like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, all these emotional parts and we're very touching.
Yeah.
Though we did talk about that in Hill House, how like the
Hill House has a
family
lot, yeah.
drama was
Yeah.
like amazing in
Yeah.
that show.
And that's not to say that there is no horror in the show. There is a lot of horrifying stuff that you see in the show, but it's either
Zero.
being framed as in a joking manner, like in some of the stories, or it's just totally ignored. Like, for example, the and I can't remember if this ever gets resolved in any fashion, but I don't even know if she had a name, if they even said her name, but the girl that I think it was a girl or a boy that was dying like at the beginning of the show, and then she died.
Rachel.
And then somebody's walking past it and like sees her sitting up in the bed and then backs up and she's not there. I'm like,
yeah. No, that's not Rachel. That's another character.
Yeah,
Rachel is the bed that Alanka replaced. when
right.
she came.
Yeah.
I know what
the
you're
one
talking
that
about.
was the one that was like on her deathbed at the beginning of the show. That was like totally unresolved, I believe. Same with the voice in the speaker that was talking, I think, to Spencer.
That was revealed allegedly to be Sandra.
Oh yeah,
Like faking it to
faking it, right?
comfort them, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Shoot, something popped into my head and now it's gone. Dang. It'll come back, hopefully.
Nope. It's
It was
gone.
interesting.
Toast it.
Shoot. Continue.
That's all I had. Yeah, I wanted to know what the heck was going on with the girl down at the basement.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, I don't know what made me think of this, but Shasta. That sounds like a weird name, but
Rasta.
Yeah, I think that's right.
She's so fascinated with getting in this house. And I think we're, led to believe it's to get into the basement where the rituals are performed. But she also talks a lot throughout the show that it like is like this vortex. Is that what she called it? But it's like, this place of power where all the ley lines meet or whatever. Could that be why Alanka has these visions or dream things of like going back in time to the old like original house, right? And that's where the guy and the lady ghosts are from, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that somehow ties into how Stanton is like not aging, not dying, continuing to live. So maybe it's a lot of maybes, a lot of stretching to get to this, but I think I'm on something. Maybe that's why Shasta wants the house so bad, right? Because then she won't have to do these
Right.
rituals.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like the intersection of not realities, but the intersection of different worlds there.
yeah, it's the vortex, not so much like the death that's healing Stanton.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I had. But it just popped into my head while you're talking. So nothing.
No, yeah, I
nothing
mean,
crazy.
I think that's the. I mean, at least it's good open. Like it's good elements to leave it open ended because there's a lot of good theories you can come up with about it. Right, there isn't like a dead end or no theories to have about this because it uses a lot of very built out ideas like ley lines, afterlife, death, a lot of very familiar concepts that people can extrapolate on all day long. It makes sense of it, and it helps that like they're all dying, drugged up in a house all the time. Who knows what? Now, the only thing, and this is when I was trying to figure out like who that ghost guy would be. I was like, is it the nurse? But then I'm like, nah, that doesn't really like fit the bill. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, we spent a lot of time with his character. So, like, is there something more to him, or is he really just like, yeah, I just work here, have like really expensive shoes, and
Yeah.
He was Spencer's guide. Like
Spencer's
story
guy.
wise, like
Yeah.
the purpose was to guide Spencer to his character's realization and like growth eventually. But I don't think he had like a larger supernatural spooky role.
Yeah, and I did like the reveal of the intercom thing being totally just like a realistic like a the point in what in these shows where it's like, oh no, that's totally explainable. It was me trying to, you know, using the intercom and trick you. It's like, oh darn, there went that whole supporting element of, oh, someone's trying to reach from the other side, all that stuff. So lots of tools he uses in here to like really muddy up what is going on. Because there's that point where they're at the table and that was a bad Alanka moment where she was like, guys, someone's, you know, leaving, they're gonna live, and I think it's me. I'm like, Jesus, really?
Yeah. Like
that is
but
so
What
so
a
shitty.
bad.
what
Yeah.
a douchey thing to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I was like, she's gonna totally do it. Like I see it on her face. Like she's
Yeah.
I think it's me. I'm like, wow.
You would think it's you.
Like that your character is just not good right now.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't think I either caught or they just like mentioned and then never revisited, which was like add to the list of the 5 other things, but like why the Midnight Club was even formed and how it like tied back to this like Paragon thing because they found the original Midnight Club meeting book in the basement. And they're just like, yeah, we're just never going to talk about that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Throw it in there with the old people ghosts and the shadow dude and the Anyways.
I don't think that even though you're pretty blunt on the topic, I don't think I'd be shocked if we get a second season out of this. It just seems like they set up a lot, and there's not enough. I don't know that there's enough to have like, I don't know, like a full story here, even guessing at all the stuff that we're guessing at. Like, I feel like this is a first season of a show.
I think I'm inclined to think there could be a second season, not just for the purpose of giving us closure on like the more outside story that's happening that we speculate on, but the fact that it is the anthology with an anthology thing, he could easily do another season with overlap of living characters here. Some other people die, but then we get a bunch of new characters, then tell a bunch of new stories.
Mm-hmm.
So he can run with this this palette,
Yeah.
and do at least one more season of it, and pepper in a little bit more exposition on the whole
The larger
story
stuff.
about the house, right? But still not finish it.
Yeah.
Because you only get like
Chad's
10
like,
minutes of it.
what's the point? I just want
Yeah.
finish.
I just want the point.
completion.
I just want that episode 10 to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Dude, I think you could probably edit the whole 10 episodes and get like one episode of just the like outside story that
yeah.
we don't get. Like that's
Yeah.
like probably an hour at best,
Legit.
2 hours.
Right.
So I'm on the IMDb page for the show, and the trailer is just playing on a loop. And I don't know what it is with ballerinas and horror, like that
Creepy.
trope.
So
but like,
creepy, dude.
you know, they have, of course, they have that, and then they have the like jump scares. But yeah, I could see how the trailer could be very
Sets it up.
misleading.
Very misleading. Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
But yeah, ballerinas and horror. I don't get it, but they're always there. Always there.
So did Anya reach through from the other side and fix her ballerina?
That's what it would appear.
That's how I took it. Because I mean, they had the pact. Whoever died first was going to do something,
And she said it would be like tangible, real evidence that
Yep.
I did it. Maybe not screaming in their face, but I'm gonna physically fix this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's like so confusing about this show is because you're like, oh, there's evidence of like supernatural, paranormal, like gappage. And you're like, so it exists, but then other things are completely explained away
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not at all. And you're
Right.
like, oh, there went my evidence to say
Yeah.
that this is what's happening.
I also love your use of the word gappage. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. And I want to add another thing to the pile of things that was mentioned or shown and then never brought up again. The whole fake out of Alanka leaving and then not leaving, and then she shows up at Midnight Club, and then it like literally never talked about again why she decided to stay. Or am I supposed to think that she stayed because of the sign that Anya?
That was after the
showed?
conversation with her dad, right?
I think so.
In the poem and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
And she told the doctor, she was like, I'm telling him I'm leaving today. I'm out. Like that's what's happening. And then she's like, I'm here.
Yeah. But I do just want to point out again, I loved how each story of the club was just telling of that person's life circumstance, right? Because the boyfriend or friend at the time of her death that came was her actual boyfriend in the story, and like the crux of the story of them having a falling out and like all that stuff like actually happened in her life. She actually was a ballerina, actually had that statue, actually threw it, hence it broke. Like I love that how each character's story mirrored something from their actual story, which was really cool.
And that's why for a hot moment I thought like Kevin was like a murderer or something.
Yeah,
he was in on something.
Yeah.
And then he was in the basement. I was like, oh my God, like this has to go
where's
somewhere.
the hammer?
It's like now.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, where's the hammer? I'm like, this dude is talking about, and he even acts like a little bit of a psychopath around Alanka all the time.
Right.
It's just like, oh yeah, everything's chill. Let's just go this way.
Yeah.
Just get my hammer out.
I was just like, there's just so many misdirects. They give you a little bit of evidence to be like, yeah, you're thinking about this right now. Never mind. Forget about it. Forget we even
never gonna mention it again.
Yeah.
Never gonna mention it again.
Yes. So overall, I liked it.
Yeah, darn. I can't. I'm not re-ranking on this episode. I'm not walking back my my rank already.
Yeah, I wouldn't change the rank. It would just maybe make the list. At the beginning of the episode, I was like, if it even makes the list, it's gonna make the list. It's just gonna be number 4.
Yeah. Nice. Well, glad we at least made it officially on the list for you, Chad.
Yeah. Maybe really it's just like Hill House is number 1, and the other 3 are just like floating beneath Hill
Floating.
House in some
Yeah.
weird unexplained fashion because we're not
Yeah.
ever going to get an explanation.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if I kind of hope it doesn't get a season 2, just because I don't want it to break the mold of how his shows work.
Well,
It ma-
I mean, we already know that something else is coming, right? The House of Usher or something he's doing. What was it called? We did it on
Yeah,
the
House of
newscast.
Something
I
like
can't
that,
remember
yeah.
of it.
Well,
So
Oh, so we're back to the houses.
yeah,
Back to the
Manor, Hill
houses.
House,
Oh,
House
yep.
of Usher.
back to the house. Well, maybe that's it. It's still number 4 because the same like how you're like, I hope there isn't a season 2. I was like, yeah, I kind of hope there isn't a season 2 because I kind of don't want to watch another 10 hours of like
Yeah.
that. Um, and
Yes.
it's such a weird feeling because it's like it was good, but it was not like an easy 10 hours to watch. Like it
Right.
was 8 would have maybe been a little better. 8 might have been like a sweeter spot for that.
Oh,
Who
we already
knows?
have a cast for this.
House
Yeah,
of
and
Usher.
Fall of the House of Usher. It's already in post production,
Yep.
so that's
Dang.
good. Here's the synopsis on IMDb. An unnamed narrator approaches the House of Usher on a dull, dark, and soundless day. This house is the estate of his boyhood friend, Roderick Usher, who is gloomy and mysterious. And we have Ruth Codd, who played Anya. She's back. Samantha Sloyan, Shasta from the Woods. Zach Guilford, the nurse, is back. Igby Rigney, like what
Oh,
a
wow.
name.
Nice.
Kevin's back. Kate Siegel,
Oh,
she's
wow.
back.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Let's go.
Let's see. Of course, Henry Thomas is back. Duh.
Is his
Rahul
wife coming back?
Kohli.
His wife wasn't in this, right?
Yeah, that's Kate.
Was she
She's
in this?
She was not in this. No.
Okay.
Mark Hamill is in this one.
Whoa.
Robert Longstreet is the name of the nurse, the guy who's always cleaning the dead room.
Okay.
That's who
The
I was trying to think of. He's Natsuki is in this one. She's coming back. But yeah, Robert Longstreet is also in this. Dude, he was so good. So
Yes.
good in Midnight Mass.
Yeah, I'm surprised that this is horror as well. I thought it was going to be totally because it's like isn't it like a poem or something? What? I'm trying to let me just look it up real quick because it's
I think his thing is really
Oh.
kind of his thing is stretching the label of horror around his stories. He's
Yeah.
like just enough to get the horror rating. It's like
Right.
only swearing. Was it only using the F word once to keep it in the PG-13
Yeah.
rating?
Okay, I don't know how to say this lady's name, but it's like Tina, but it's like if a dyslexic person wrote Tina, it's like T apostrophe N
Oh
I
yeah.
A.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna call her Tina, Tanaya,
Tanaya,
Miller.
I think it's Tanaya.
Tanaya Miller. She's from Bly Manor. She plays Hannah. She's gonna be in the Fall of House of Usher. So
Hannah.
she was awesome.
Yeah, it's a short story in other works by Edgar Allan Poe. I thought I remembered some sort of.
Yeah, I don't know why it's horror. I don't think Edgar Allan Poe wrote anything in the horror realm, right?
Nope. Not
As
that I
long
know
as
of.
as long as there's like so many jump scares and a ghost,
Yeah.
and it checks the box. Like we
Right.
don't have to talk about it much.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
like
just
10 minutes.
we'll bring it up and then never talk about it again. Actually,
Yeah.
the
I want-
label people are like, yep, it's
Yeah,
horror technically.
man. Now I really want somebody to do that, like very intentionally, just to be like super meta. Just
Yeah.
create a show where like 2 out of every 3 things that is brought up is never mentioned again.
Never talked again.
And forget about that.
Yep. So
We should start
everything
doing
you
that.
focused on in episode 1, never gonna go forward.
I wonder what Mark Hamill is going to be doing.
Yeah.
Voice work only. Oh, a ghost that we never get any exposition on.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, what else? Do we have anything else to talk about on this, or are we wrapping up here?
I'm good.
It's a good show. I'd
show.
recommend people watch it if they had time on their hands, but like don't fall down the stairs to make it happen. If that
Yeah,
makes
that's a weird analogy, but yeah. I would say if you're looking for something scary, go watch Hill House
Yeah.
Yep.
or Midnight
Again,
Mass or
Hill
Blind
House
Manor.
a second time.
Yeah.
I do need to
But
rewatch
if you're looking for like this has a good story. I think it's good, but it's not scary.
It has good elements. There
Yeah.
is no story.
There's some true. There are many stories.
Many stories. It has good stories.
And they're kind of weird and creepy, but not scary. But yeah, enough of the rambling of us continually saying the same things over and over again. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. You guys have anything else you want to say before we end?
I wish there was another episode of House of the Dragon, but there isn't.
Yeah, I know. Already fiending for it. It's gonna be 2
Let's
years.
Go watch it again. Chad, you gotta watch Rings of Power now.
Yeah, I'm out on that one.
Well, I mean, you have to because we're doing an episode.
Yeah. I'm probably
He's
not
gonna
gonna
do
be
the
on that
control.
episode.
He's gonna do the control thing. He's gonna be like,
That's
I saw
I-
what 4 episodes?
3, maybe.
3?
Maybe.
Close enough.
Yeah. Close
Close
enough.
enough.
You got the general idea.
You
Yeah,
got the
let's-
idea.
I'm gonna pull up the old schedule here and
I can barely get through the movies, and I have a feeling I'm not gonna get through the show.
Yeah, you're just not a Tolkien guy.
I'm not
I
a
guess.
Tolkien guy, yeah. Not at all.
holy cow.
Even
You can't
after
watch Andor. That's sad. Like, what's wrong with you?
Dude,
that's so
I'm
good.
gonna try and power through it, man, eventually. But like those, I don't know, dude, just put me to sleep. Those first 2-3 episodes.
Everyone needs to watch it because
Don't
if no
sleep
one
on it.
watches it,
So good.
they won't make more of that style of show. They'll go back and make something else that no one likes, but it'll somehow do really well. It's
Yeah.
so confusing.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Oh, dude. Okay, so Rings of Power actually is next week's episode. So,
Oh, then I'm definitely out. Yeah. No way I'm getting through that thing in a week.
yeah. So we got some fun topics coming up. We got Rings of Power next week. We got a Jenny What's Playing. Me and Chad will be doing one of
Much
those. That'll be
needed,
great.
Much needed.
We got 2 gaming episodes next month. We're gonna have a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet hype episode with Jared from Play Along Podcasts and Peace Love Ames. And
Shout
then man, November is just full of shows Chad hates because we're gonna wrap up November reacting and reviewing Andor, which is gonna be tight.
No, he's watching Andor.
Yeah.
How long
Yeah.
is Andor? Isn't it
12
like
episodes.
16? Oh, okay. I thought it was 16.
It's
for
a
some
long
reason.
one.
8 are out.
It'll
be a total of 24 when it's all done.
I think it wraps up like the day before that Thursday's episode. So we'll be
Yep.
coming in hot.
What November? What day in November?
That's November 24th is that
Oh, okay,
episode,
so I
or
got-
is our
I got some
podcast on it.
You
so.
can watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch Andor for sure.
Yeah, but hey, that's a wrap.
I
Spooktober.
gotta keep myself like ready for Mr. Robot. Let's not forget here.
Oh, I forgot.
Throwback
about
Thursdays.
Yeah.
that.
Can't wait to
Yikes.
pick that back up. That's gonna be great. Yeah, Spooktober 2022. It's all done. It's in the books.
Sad. Rip. See you
Fun
next
time.
year.
A lot of cool ideas, a lot of cool episode topics. Go listen to all of them. Subscribe here, Showboys Podcast. Subscribe at Showboys Gaming. Follow us on Twitch. Join our Discord. Check out our Patreon. Buy a Showboys hoodie from our merch shop. And until then, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Mike, where are you? There you are. You need to be here for this because I'm going to give you a compliment. Good job on hosting the second half of that episode because I think I'm better at the starting them. You're
Is
better
that a
at like
compliment
finishing
or
them.
like one of those back?
Yeah.
Compliment?